Hello now, this is my probably very interesting Nintendo 64 collection, of which this is the third party games, that being games that aren't made or published by Nintendo, therefore the worst games to come out on the Nintendo 64, but some of them are also quite good. Okay, almost alphabetically, ECW Hardcore Revolution. I was never really a very big fan of wrestling games, they're very slow and boring usually. I don't like the WWF at the time. I didn't like WCW to watch as a product on TV, but I quite liked ECW. When this came out, it was nice to have ECW characters I recognised and liked, to have them running around on the screen, hitting each other. It was fun to be playing multiplayer, I guess, kicking each other as your favourite characters. But the problem remained, it is a slow, boring wrestling game. It was okay, nothing interesting, but I was happy that ECW finally had a game. That was alright. Yeah. Another fighting game, Fighter's Destiny. This was Nintendo 64's kind of Tekken, I guess. You've probably heard that before, but it's very generic. Probably a little bit boring to some people. There's only about 10 to 12 characters, I can't quite remember. It's got a sort of very typical selection of a guy who looks a bit like Ryu, a guy who looks a bit like Jack from Tekken, a lady who looks a bit like Nina Williams who does the flips and stuff. There's a clown. But the interesting thing about Fighter's Destiny is that it's based on a point system, not on rounds. So, if you push a fighter out of the arena, you get 1 point. If you knock them over with a counter, you get 2 points. That kind of thing. If you do a throw, you get 2 points. It's the first person to get 7 points to win. So it plays quite differently from normal fighting games. It's a good multiplayer game. A good multiplayer game. As a role-playing game, Holy Magic Century. It's a very strange game at the time. It's very Japanese style role-playing game. You play as some young child who has to go and save the land that he lives in, so you have to go around having these random battles, collecting elements. You can power up your elements, so you've got like a water move, a fire move, a wind move, and you get experience points and you can power them up. I had a little bit of a problem with this game, but it's probably the way that I played it, was that I got, as far as I know, to the end of the game, but I hadn't done enough grinding, so my character wasn't actually strong enough to beat the final boss. But where I'd saved, I couldn't go back and power up anymore, so I was kind of stuck right at the end of the game, not being strong enough to do the boss. That's a funny story. Another fighting game, I guess I was into fighting games in the 90s, is Roco Kids. There's only 7 characters in this game, I think, with maybe 1 secret character. It's a very wacky game. One of the characters is a small girl whose arms just keep moving up, who has a revolving chicken on her head, and her special moves are that she throws pots and pans at people. And there's a teddy bear that has a gun on his head, and a cat called Captain Cat Kit, an astronaut called Astronauts, a cowboy, I don't remember his name, a robot called Robot Cho, because he's got a C and a H and an O on him, so he's called a Robot Cho. It's, as a one-player mode game, it isn't very interesting. As a multiplayer game, it's ridiculously fun, as is the case with a lot of fighting games. It's an alright game. It's very Japanese in its wackiness. It's okay. I love it a bit. Resident Evil 2. When I got Resident Evil 2 for the Nintendo 64, I'd only played Resident Evil on the PlayStation, which I thought was alright at the time. But coming on to Resident Evil 2 on the Nintendo 64, this game had, at the time, HD characters against photorealistic backgrounds, and it was mind-blowing. It's got fantastic music. This is actually considered one of the best Resident Evil games, if not the best Resident Evil games, at least of the old type with the static backgrounds. It's a very good game, and also well done to the people who made it, who managed to get all of the full motion video onto the cartridge of the game. Great work. Lots of people said it couldn't be done, but it was done. Yeah. San Francisco Rush. It's a racing game. Yeah. It's got maybe 6 levels, all set in San Francisco, where you race around, obviously doing laps. But the strange hook on this game is that it was very much open. Like, you could be driving along the road and you'll see a ramp at the side, maybe even a small ramp. You go up the ramp and it will take you for a hole in the building, which will then lead up to its roof, which will then lead to another ramp, which will take you up the side of another building, and then before you know it, you're on the top of a skyscraper. nowhere near where you're supposed to be. And up there there'll be a key or a secret item or something, and there's a lot of adventuring in this game. After spending maybe 100 hours on it, I'm pretty sure there's loads of stuff I haven't even found. As a two-player game, it's a bit rubbish. As a one-player game, it's deeply fun. It doesn't look very good. Even in the 90s, it didn't look very good. But it's a fun game. The reviews for this game, if I remember right in the magazines, it got 80%. And one of its big detractors was its soundtrack. But I do not agree. The soundtrack to this game is a little bit magical. I guess a lot of people don't like it. They're like, oh, it's rock music, or it isn't very good rock music. But it's weird, cool rock music. I like it. I'd give this game 80%, yeah, at least. And that was followed up by Rush 2, Extreme Racing USA, whereas San Francisco Rush, all the levels were in San Francisco. This one has levels in New York, Seattle, Las Vegas, all around the USA. It's exactly the same kind of thing, just going around these big cities, finding these ridiculous shortcuts, and collecting keys and items. You can collect cans of Mountain Dew in some strange product placement, but very much the same as the previous one. It's also got a sort of stunt mode where you can drive around doing crazy jumps in like a big arena for no particular reason, but that was a bit of fun as well. And again, it's two-player, not very good two-player, but as a game, overall, it's very good. It's got more cars in the original as well. Yeah, that's great, isn't it? Shadow Man, that's a third-party adventure game that came out on the Nintendo 64. It also came out on the PlayStation and Dreamcast, I believe. The Nintendo 64 version, it's chunky but smooth at the same time. I don't know how to explain it. It looks very blocky, but in a really solid, cool way. It's kind of grainy, like an 80s film. But it's very smooth in its animations. It's a good, creepy, decent game. I'd say the cons to this game are that if you die, sometimes, you might have to go back like half an hour's worth of play to the previous point. Kind of, you know, the last checkpoint or whatever. So it's really annoying, because sometimes you really can't help dying, because you might accidentally fall in some lava, instant death, and you have to go back and do half an hour work again. That's quite annoying. And also, you can't save onto the game pack. You have to save onto a memory card, which is a bit ridiculous for a cartridge game, because you should be able to save onto the cartridge, obviously. That's one of the benefits of having a cartridge and not a disc. So, yeah, it's a good game. I actually really love this. One of my best and favourite third-party games for the Nintendo 64, Shadow Man. Spent loads of hours on that. That was alright, man. Mortal Kombat Mythologies Sub-Zero. Well known as being a truly awful game. I only bought it, I got it used, you can see the box is a bit smashed. I got it used because I saw the reviews that said it was a load of old crap, and I really wanted to know. I wanted to play it. I'd heard that, you know, you walk along, then you just fall to your death out of nowhere. You're walking along, something will crush you from the ceiling, you don't even know it's there. It's so unfair, it's rubbish, the controls are awful, the level design is terrible, everything about it's awful. But it's got its own kind of charm, you know, like if there's a bad movie you can say, oh, it's so bad it's good. In a way, this is so bad it's good. I've probably spent a good few hours on this game, whereas I guess a lot of people would have spent 1 minute on it, turned it off and said it was shit. I'd give this, I don't know, a 50% because of its strange value of being a bit funny. World Driver Championship for Nintendo 64. It's a two-player racing game. It's a very serious racing game. At the start it's extremely slow, but as you get your money you can join bigger racing teams and get faster cars. The interesting thing about World Driver Championship is it actually had an HD mode whereby it compressed all of the graphics into half the screen, kind of as if you were playing two-player and you had you know, an upper and a lower half of the screen for two players. You have that one half, but it's in the middle of the screen, so you got black at the top and bottom, kind of like a letterbox format, but it's compressed all the graphics together into actually a high def mode, which is great. It's in, but it's what year? 99. This is 17 years old, and it looks great. Player wise, yeah, it plays really well. Music, I don't remember, but yeah, it's alright. Yeah, it's pretty good. There's a lot of racing games and fighting games for the Nintendo 64 that I spent a lot of time with. And also, I've got a MacPad, which is a third-party controller. I don't know where I got this from. Probably I wouldn't have bought this from a shop. No way. I mean, look at it. I wouldn't have bought that from a shop. But I guess I must have got it free with a subscription to a Nintendo magazine or something. Looking on the back of the box, it's got all these different features. Crystal clear case, A and B buttons. Oh, wow, it's got A and B buttons. Wow, well, I'd be a bit pissed off if I bought a gamepad and it didn't have a A or B button. But the thing is, it looks wacky, so I guess people might pick them up and think, oh, that's a nice controller. And it's actually really comfortable, but the buttons are in the wrong place. Oh, I just reached the D-pad. Oh no, my thumb can't even reach the up bit, not unless I completely move my hand. The shoulder buttons don't feel like they go in properly. All the buttons are overly clicky and junky, and the Z button's in the wrong place. It feels horrible. I have to press it with my middle finger. I shouldn't have to do that. It's made by Interact, MacPad. No. No. Not a good system. And the start button doesn't even say start. It's just a red button. No, don't like it. Stick to Nintendo pads. Yeah. Anyway, that's some third-party Nintendo games and stuff. Bye!